Nikita led a mock interview for analytics engineer position. The record is divided into 3 parts. This is part 1.
Once again, thank you, Ajan, for your active participation today. And today we will have a mock analytics engineering interview. And I think that the topics that we will cover today, they are really good. I think there's essential things that analytics engineers should know to get the job. Our interview will consist of 5 parts today. I think we will structure our interview the following way. We will solve parts one by one, and after each part, I'll give like a feedback on the answer, just not to forget, because it's like 5 parts, and I don't want to be like this interview just too big. We will try to cover each part maybe in 15 minutes, something like this. At least we will try. And of course, there are a lot of questions, so maybe we won't cover like every single question in every part. Maybe cover some that I will choose.
Okay.
I will share with you the Notion page. Yeah, we will solve everything in Notion. And also, of course, I will publish the questions and the tasks after our meeting.
Sounds good. Yeah, I can see.
Yeah, could you log in and just share the screen?
Yep.
Could you please refresh the page? I just gave the edit access to this page. On the right top corner, you see the edit pen, right top, right? Yeah. So
yeah,
if you want, you can just type there. I think you should try to click on the link once again that I shared. I think now you will be able to type something.
Yep, I can do that.
Let's start. Yeah, once again, we will have 5 parts, and let's solve it one by one. So let's start with first task. Could you just read it out loud and then answer the question?
Part 1. You are joining a fintech company where the data warehouse processes millions of transactions every day. Recently, the product team introduced a new feature called Money Vaults. These vaults provide users with a separate space to store their savings, keeping them distinct from their spendable account, a useful way to safeguard emergency funds. Company regularly conducts experiments to assess the impact of new product features. A major shift recently took place when the feature flagging system was migrated to LaunchDarkly, resulting in a complete transformation of the data structure used for experiments. To ensure continuity in tracking key metrics for the Vaults feature during this transition, product analysts quickly developed an interim solution, an ad hoc dashboard in a BI tool using custom SQL. This dashboard is actively monitored by the product manager and is shared with the entire company during weekly all-hands meeting. While it serves as a solid MVP, there are challenges. It takes a long time to load and lacks flexibility in slicing and analyzing key metrics. How would you build a complete solution that fits these challenges? Okay, so they built some kind of feature, Money Vaults. I'm not sure what does that even means. This vault is like password vaults for password managers.
I think it's just a feature that you see it's separate space. It's more like secure space to save savings.
Okay, like keeping them distinct from their spendable account.
Actually, it's it's not that matters at the feature. So for me, it's more important to see your approach, how you will build it.
How I would solve the challenges.
Yeah.
There is no information about the BI tool that they are using. If it's Power BI or Tableau, depending on the BI tool they are using, I would first go and check on the BI level. For example, if it's Power BI, they might have poor DAX, poor data models. If it won't help, then I would go to check the custom SQL. I think the main problem maybe playing there, especially when it's custom SQL. A lot of different developers might build inefficient SQL queries. I would check SQL query and try to optimize the query. And check for data redundancy. For example, if it's a lot of transactions, maybe it's better to have only the necessary data that are being used to calculate the key metrics and get rid of unnecessary columns or something like that.
About the tools, let's say that we are analytics engineers and we're using, of course, DBT as a data transformation tool. And for BI, we can any modern tool. So the key point is here. So we are using right now custom SQL because it's like a just new feature. And that's why we just quickly created this dashboard based on custom. But in general, we want to have all our data in DBT and on transformations, and not to have a lot of custom SQL. Could you just explain how you build the whole like end-to-end project, right? To have like some maybe final models that we can use just in our BI tool.
If you would like to build like end-to-end solution for this problem or issue for task, as an analytics engineers, of course, we're going to use a DBT. We're going to get the data from source and load it into our data warehouse platform. And then using the DBT, we're going to transform our data, modify and clean all these transformation steps, and then load it to our warehouse and source the data from a BI tool from our data warehouse in a final tables using maybe dimensional modeling approach, like fact and dimension tables in a very general.
Yeah, maybe you can be like more specific, just because.
I would take the I don't know, Google BigQuery or Snowflake, whatever data warehouse we would use. Take the data from the source, extract it, and then just load it into the Snowflake warehouse as is. Like, for example, currently a lot of people using Medallion Architecture. Basically, it goes to the bronze layer. So it has 3 layers, bronze, silver, and gold. So the data goes to bronze layer as is, repeating the source structure without any changes. And then it goes with a little bit of enrichment, a little bit of changing the data, goes to the silver layer. Maybe we might join some tables, we might only pull the necessary columns, etc. And then all aggregated and calculated data goes to the gold layer. And from that gold layer, all business level users can utilize the data, especially the BI tools. And since it's aggregated data, we're not going to see these challenges with the performance.
Got it. And how you'll fix the challenge of flexibility in slicing and analyzing key metrics? I think you answered the first part, like, so if we will have final models, I think it will just not take a long time, right? Because it will be like processed via some data warehouse. Yeah, but how you'll structure maybe data in general concepts, just to understand, to be more flexible, to analyze different metrics.
To analyze different metrics, well, we should have like one source of definition of all these key metrics. This is like the main analyzing key metrics, I believe, because from the practice, I can tell that different departments might have different understanding of the metrics. And then, I don't know, depending on the business users, we can provide aggregated, calculated data of for these key metrics. For example, revenue or sales, we can just have amount column, and then in BI level, we can just utilize calculating the measures, or we can calculate all these key metrics in the data warehouse and provide it to the users. It will depend on the user type. For example, one of the main features and advantages of Medallion architecture is you can provide data based on the user type. For example, ML engineers or data scientists, if they want to go down, you can provide silver layer data. And for top managers who doesn't care about the details, so you can provide gold layer data with already calculated key metrics. I don't know about slicing. What does slicing mean here?
Slicing is just analyzing in different, I mean, okay, we have a period we want to analyze only like this year, or we want to track only specific users' categories. Slicing is just analyzing some slices of data. So we just filter data and analyze these slices.
Well, I think we can, depending on the user, we can provide snapshots of data and not provide all historical data. I don't know if it answers the question.
Awesome. Thank you. So let me provide some feedback if you are done.
Sure.
For this type of open questions, I would suggest the following approach. Maybe the question is not so specific, or maybe it's a little bit misleading. But in general, when they ask you how you would build, or how you will do this task, or I don't know, how you will create this dashboard, the first thing you should do is just to understand the requirements and gather the requirements. Every time they ask you just how you will build it, you should just say that, okay, I will go to business and I will talk to them.
Yeah.
Sometimes the business asks to do something and you can just do it, but actually they need something else. Here we have also some ad hoc feature that we just created this feature. Maybe it's like a new feature that we want to test, right? So maybe in 1 week, we will decide that, we will not this feature. And we just spent a lot of time on building the solution while this feature will be canceled. In general, for such tasks, the first thing, gather requirements. You should say, I'll go to business, I try to understand the real problem, I'll ask a lot of why questions. And only after that, if we really need to build it, okay, I will go. For this question, it's good that you answer. First thing you should do is just to check the SQL query. Maybe it's some, just you can fix logic and improve the efficiency. It's a good answer. But just to build the whole thing, first because the requirements. Second, yes, right, you just go to check data source, right? Then you build some ETL pipeline. It's good to answer in general, but a little bit more specific for your first answer. So in second answer that you provided, and you talk about Medallion architecture, is good. Say like that, I analyze what data do we have. I built a data pipeline and load this data to our data warehouse. And in data warehouse, I built the Medallion architecture and maybe some brief information about Medallion. First layer will be just one-to-one models. And the second layer where we'll have the main transformations. And the third layer, we will have Mart's model that will give access to business. And then, we will build this dashboard and these metrics. Also, I think it's a very good thing to mention is how you will ensure the quality of the data. You should, I think, talk about maybe some alerts that you implement for tests, at least in general. So you can say, I will implement a source freshness and pipeline alert. So if the pipeline will break down, I will get an alert notification, something like this.
Okay.
For metrics, you can say, I'll talk to business to have one definition, and we can just, build semantic layer to have all metrics in one place. So I just build these definitions in my Mart's layer. And then you can say, I built the whole solution and we built a dashboard. And after that, I think it's also really cool to mention that how you will assess your success. For example, you build a dashboard, but nobody use it. And you can talk about some success metrics. For example, amount of daily users. If this dashboard is updated daily, maybe you do it for I don't know, the department of 10 people. If maybe, I don't know, 70% of people will use it on a daily basis or at weekly basis, you can say it's a good solution. I will present the dashboard and I'll track the activity for this dashboard and provide some trainings. Then maybe I'll create a Google Forms survey after the launch just to collect feedback and implement some changes. This is, I would say, the whole analytics solution. This is how I think. So gather requirements, analyze the data, what we have, pipelines, architecture of the DBT project, Medallion architecture, thinking about tests and data quality, and presenting the dashboard and success metrics and service to collect feedback. This is how I think. Maybe Sergey, Maxim, do you have any feedback? How you think it should be?
I thought when Aijan mentioned about facts and dimension, at that point, I thought that definitely can provide the flexibility in slicing and dicing. But I guess it depends on the requirements as well, if that is needed. So that's, I think Aijan mentioned, but I just decided to bring it up on the surface. That's definitely could help with slicing and dicing. But other than that, I think the answer was quite on point.
Well, for slicing and dicing, definitely, I agree. Fact and dimension. And in general, so I think your answer was great. So, but you should be like a little bit more structured. Talk a little bit more specific in the first answer.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Let's go to the next part, number 2. There are a lot of questions, so we can just start one by one.
Task. Understand the query, review the SQL query, and explain its purpose. If needed, feel free to clean up the code as part of your explanation. I can go and do this first one. SQL challenge. Direct push launch darkly events. Legacy feature. In first CTA, it's gathering some kind of events that has active status. Partner direct push launch darkly events.
Feel free to clean up, and if you don't like how it looks like, just yeah.
It's basically just pulling the events, some kind of events details, right?
Yeah.
So user event ID, event context keys user. I guess it's user ID, and the event created date, experiment name. Here's experiment name. So the event name, right? Experiment variation name. Slower value than true, and value than false, so experiment variation. Okay, I'll just consider this CTA as information about active events on direct push LaunchDarkly. Well, some kind of LaunchDarkly events. The second one is legacy feature flag events. Some kind of legacy feature, and it's pulling information on that. ID, user ID, created on. The same columns as this one, right? Basically, okay. And then it's unioning these two CTAs and pulling as final union all rows of users. Okay, it's basically taking, I guess, legacy feature events and some kind of, I believe this one, new events, and then combining it into one CTA, and then calculating by event variation, and event date, right?
Yeah, correct.
In the final select, they are pulling experiments called Vault Launch, since we are interested in this new feature, I guess. Experiment name, date, and if it's true, then non-users true, false, final. False. I don't really understand what does this true false mean, but just by the formula I can tell that I don't know, the users that pass this event, or how to say it. So basically for Vault Launch, they are pulling the name and the dates and number of users by this experiment variation flag.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You can just go, you explain everything.
So rewrite the query to enhance clarity and maintainability. Well, I don't know. Is there any way in Notion just, oops. Event ID, index user, index key user, created on.
Let's concentrate on the first CT, because I see you cleaned up, so it's more readable right now. So maybe would you do any other changes to this to enhance readability?
Experiment name, experiment values. Event value. I don't know. Seems fine for me.
Yeah. You can go to the next question.
Union, yes, union all. Explain the difference between union and union all. Well, union returns only unique values. Union all might have duplicated values, duplicated rows.
Correct.
The duplicate experiment entries. Some users may enter the same experiment variation multiple times. Modify the query to ensure only the first occurrence of each user's entry into each experiment is retained. Times. Queries ensure only the first occurrence of each experiment entries. Experiment. Which column is that? Users may enter the same experiment variation. Oh, experiment variation. This one. TF. Well, I guess I will just use dense rank or something like that. Dense rank, yes. That will be. For users, ID, context user. I guess it should be per user and date. Can I ask a question? We are interested in unique experiment variations for each day or like overall for user, just to identify the partition.
I think here is we should think about by date.
By date.
Experiment name. Let's review. Yeah, good points, Sergey. Yeah, let's review question once again. Some users may enter the same experiment variation multiple times. Modify the query to ensure only the first occurrence of each user's entry into each experiment is retained. So it's not related, so experiment could last several days. We should think about the first entry to each experiment.
Each experiment, okay. This one, event K. If I will dense rank by user and by experiment name, there might be, for each experiment, we'd like to get the only first one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Each user's entry, the first entry, like, yeah, into the experiment.
Each experiment, okay, yeah. Then it should be in the partition by. Right. Oops. Start. Room number or something like that. This one will give me the ranking for each user, by each user and by each experiment. For example, user 1 will have more than one same, for example, I don't know, T experiment. Then for the first one, oh, it's gonna give for the first one 1, 1. I'm gonna need row number, sorry.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
Row number or number?
Row number.
Row number, yeah. Yeah, this one will give me correct rankings, and then I will just filter this CDA by only 1, where row num is equal to 1.
Okay, yeah, so yeah, let's discuss once again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's discuss what we have in this table in general.
In this table, I have all active events. and all this data, ID, experiment name, user, and flag. Row num, what does row num do here? It goes over the row partitioned by user and event key, experiment name. For the user one, row num is gonna give, for example, let's start from 1, and for the same events, it's gonna give 1, 2, 3 sequenced rankings, and from that sequenced rankings, I will be interested only the row where row num has 1.
Let's imagine the situation. So we have this experiment, and we have a user, and let's imagine that this user, let's say, joined the experiment today, and yesterday, right? So we need to track only the first entry.
Oh, then yeah, I should order by date.
Yeah. Okay.
What else?
The question is why you're using, explain why you're using like an order by all the fields, not just one.
Why am I using? To get the correct rankings.
I mean, yeah, so row number, it just gives the number of the row, right, in specific order.
Yes.
Right, and then we use what partition by does.
Well, oh, okay. So it's, I don't need these two, just the date, since partition by already handles the sequence.
So like, yeah, partition by actually like creates a window or something.
Yeah.
With these users and keys. So we just need to order by date.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, let's go next to the next question.
Convert timestamps to dates. Just a query so that timestamps are displayed right like this. Convert timestamps to dates. I will just use cast as date.
Could you check maybe there are some other fields in the whole? Yeah, could you check the whole query?
Oh, event creation date timestamp. In this CD only, I can see only one column is date. It's not really a creation date. Experiment name, relational. I think we should change it as, I don't know, some kind of null or 1900, something like that, because it's a date, and they're gonna be error when we will try to join different type of columns. Just give nulls here or 1. I think that's all.
Okay, next.
Optimize for performance. Suggest ways to improve the query's runtime efficiency. Optimize for performance. Well, what I could do here. Optimize for performance. Yeah, we can definitely, I guess, delete. Oh no, union all. Okay, no, union is more efficient. I guess we are using experiment name, experiment variation, testing. I think since we're interested in only Vault launch experiment name, we can just filter it in CTA level from both CTAs. I don't know the legacy feature have it or not. Then it's gonna give us way less. The other thing is active. I don't know why do we need legacy feature. Vault Launch is the new feature, right? And
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we need this CTA at all. If we don't need it, I could tell it if I could see the data. I would just assume that Vault Launch is the new experiment. And I'm assuming that we have it only in this table and we don't need this one. So after filtering this by the experiment name, I would just check if we need it or not and then just delete it if we don't need it. Then we don't have to union anything. And here, experiment name, experiment variation created on, it counts. If you're gonna need only one table, then we can just, we don't have to create another CTA. I think we can just count it here. We can make it true, no, there's true. Basically, we filtered by the Vault Launch and pulled first occurrence of experiments. And then after that, we can directly calculate num users true, false, and skipping this one. Because I think this step is repeated here and here, because we already have event value, right? Should I write the query or just?
No, yeah, just explain your ideas.
Yes, so I would first, let's again, first I would filter by Vault Launch experiment here in this CDA, and then we will filter by row num and get the only first occurrence. And then I can calculate directly using this case statement. I don't think even we need this one because we have event value and we can just on the next level select, you can just count and inside the count consider this case statement and get the user true, false, whatever it is.
That's it?
Yeah, I think that's it, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I think, yeah, we can stop for this part. Let's just discuss it. I think you did a good job in terms of cleaning. One suggestion, you can just also improve the names of CTs, right? Just to make it more readable with underscores. And just and other things, yeah, I mean, for further questions, yeah, for union, all, yeah, correct. For like improvements, yeah, also you I think found the main parts. Just don't forget about commas when you write. Just be careful. But yeah, for window function, yeah, a little bit hesitation about this. But in general, the idea was correct. And yeah, about just try one more time to understand what data do we have and read one more time the task to understand better and ask questions. But in general, it was good. Yeah, suggestions to improvements. Yeah, correct, I think. So you just need to filter the data as soon as possible. Yeah, not to process it. Yeah, and just avoid some unnecessary data.
Yep.
So this is from my side, guys. Do you have any feedback? Sergey, Maxim?
One thing I actually didn't say in the beginning, how this query is used. This is logic that currently used in BI and we transfer into our ETL solution. We could definitely do some sort of incremental load, just filter on the new events. But other than that, everything that else been said, I think will greatly improve. I would clarify with the, I guess, business user or somebody who already built this, what it is. And if it's part of TL, maybe we could do incremental load.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can think about not like query performance, right? But maybe some like incremental load or maybe some data warehouse optimization. I don't know, partitioning and clustering. For example, if it's needed, you can also mention it. So when we load, we partition by date and cluster by some categories.
Come back next week for the second part.